from the Hill, ladies and gentlemen. DOGE is in the IRS. I love this headline.
I love it.
Democratic senator, quote, DOGE is now at the IRS. The funny thing is, Democrats have now been put in a position where they're going to have to go to the American people and defend the IRS.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they've been doing. They're put into a position where they actually are defending the bureaucracy. They're defending wasteful spending. They're defending ridiculous government programs.
Endless wars, all of it.
And it's all because they have, since Donald Trump came onto the political scene, their entire modus operandi has been Donald Trump is bad. Anything that Donald Trump wants, we're against. I mean, it's become a caricature, but it's actually the way they behave.
Yep.
No matter what he says, good or bad, everything that's beautiful. Hey, Donald Trump just cured cancer. They're going to hate it.
Deborah the other day was asking, why is Trump prioritizing these actions against like USAID and the government and all this stuff? Yeah. And she said there's things that are more pressing to the American people, like the price of eggs. She's not wrong, but if Trump does not, the easy answer is if Trump doesn't go up against the bureaucratic machine and deal with the resources they use to elect their shill candidates, then it's never going to stop. But it's also masterfully political in that for the longest time, we've known Democrats have just been whatever Trump is, they're the opposite. And that works to a certain degree. If Trump says something like, well, I enjoy pancakes for breakfast, they say, look, everyone knows waffles are better. Well, when those kind of arguments happen, there's an argument to be made. And it's not, I shouldn't be so silly. Let's be serious. When an argument happens where Trump says this war would never have started if I was the president and Ukraine, Russia should stop fighting, the Democrats argue, yes, but the problem with, cessation of hostilities is that Russia's going to move in. There was an argument to be made. Trump has now made a masterful political move, whether intentionally or otherwise. Sometimes I think Trump really does slip on a banana peel and do a backflip. But with Elon Musk going into the IRS, so you start with USA. It's just, I kind of feel like it's brilliant.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's an accident. You start with something like USAID. No one really knows what it is. And you creep your way in and start saying, look at all these ridiculous programs. Yeah. The average American who's actually listening, not the weird NPCs, are going to see, gender study puppet shows in Peru, whatever it is was going on. And they're going to say, yeah, why are we spending money on that? I don't care how much money it is. Don't spend it. Then after the story, simmers a little bit, ruminates, you then go into the IRS. This is the Babylon Bee prophecy. Do you guys remember when the Babylon Bee wrote the article that said, ingenious move, Trump comes out in support of impeachment, forcing Democrats to oppose?
Yep.
Yeah. It's the Babylon Bee has gotten it right over and over again. And now where we are, DOGE has gone to the IRS. There's not, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. If a poll ever came out showing favorability for the IRS, it's fake. It's just literally fake. Even if the IRS was a bunch of like cherubic small children handing out candy bars, everybody knows when they take money from your paycheck, they're angry about it, and so is everybody else. Of course. So to simplify and just wrap this up, Trump has now put Democrats in the position of being angry that Trump would dare go after the people who steal your money.
Unbelievable.
And I'm being a bit facetious with the steal your money, but I know our libertarian friends are screaming taxation is theft.
I mean, look, I've been pretty clear about my opinion that taxation is theft, considering the fact that the only reason the dollar has value nowadays is the demand that taxation is, right? So the reason that fiat currencies have a value is because the issuing government requires that you pay taxes in that currency. So there's a demand for dollars so you can pay your taxes. And otherwise, and what they do with those dollars is they just destroy them. Your dollars don't go to pay for anything. When they want to fund something, they just print the money for it. Dollars are the taxation is used in conjunction with interest rates in order to mediate inflation. That's it. So they're literally taking your money so that way there is less money in circulation. It is directly theft.
That's literally correct. And it gets way more complicated.
Sure.
So there's a bunch of different facets of this. The truth is, if we get into how it actually functions, they spent your money before they took it, and then take it from you and burn it.
Yep.
So when they issue debt, for instance, right? When they print money, they know, hey, it's gonna get hot with the money supply is expanding. It's fractional reserve or it's quantitative easing. The money supply is expanding too rapidly. The government's going to use that to pay down its debt to fund programs, war, whatever it might be. Then, with too much money in circulation, they take from you and they destroy those dollars, or they try to remove them from circulation. This is modern monetary theory. And the craziest thing about it is the ways in which government produces value and money is insane. The national debt is largely owed to the American people. I'll keep it real simple. I'll try to keep it simple here. When the debt ceiling gets raised, what they're basically saying is, hey, we're going to fund, air quotes, a new bridge. What does that mean to fund it? It means they're going to go to a contractor and they're going to say, how much to build the bridge? They say $50 million. They say, okay, we promise we'll pay you. That's funding the bridge. The debt then goes up by $50 million plus interest, and then they basically just pay the interest while not paying the debt. You combine that with USAID and all of the fraudulent waste and abuse. It is the U.S. government hemorrhaging money. And another way to put it would be the Titanic literally sinking and taking on water.
Well, this USAID thing, one of the things that's kind of interesting is I've noticed there's been a lot of videos that people have been posting talking about this, talking about all the wasteful spending of their own tax dollars. They feel this as a personal thing.
Yeah.
And you see people talking about it over and over again. So this is galvanizing people who probably didn't vote for Trump, or people who maybe didn't vote for him in the first election. It's galvanizing those voters to him now, because you're right. It has put these Democrats in a position of having to defend something that's indefensible.
Yeah.
The IRS collected more than $4.9 trillion in gross revenue in the fiscal year of 2022. That is a substantial amount of money for them to be taken from the American people with our taxes, and they're just giving it to the government to let them spend 9.4 or 4.9 trillion.
Well, especially when you got people down in South Carolina that are still homeless.
Yes.
I don't know how Democrats are going to win in the midterms on the "We Defend the IRS" platform.
It's incredible that they're going with that line. They are doing their best. If you're going to be fair, they are doing their best to stray away from that. It's just they're trying to say that Musk is stealing from the people, so that way he can give to his billionaire buddies, which is on its face ridiculous. Like Musk himself,
he's got more money than he needs.
Yeah, and, I mean, yes, and also like Musk isn't taking the money.
That's right.
And putting it in his own bank account. He's just auditing existing programs.
Let me read this quote. So basically, this is Ron Wyden. If you're not familiar with him, he's the guy who looked shocked in that fake photo I made. It's not okay. There's a picture of AOC about to hug somebody and her arm is out. And I cropped it, so you just see her arm out, and I said, AOC, no. And Ron Wyden is standing behind her, like making a shocked face. So
she's doing my heart goes out to you?
Yeah, it really does look like it. But she was just hugging somebody. I'm not, it was a joke. I know some people don't, a lot of Democrats thought it was real. But Ron Wyden said, he's sounding the alarm. Quote, my office is hearing that DOGE is now at the IRS. That means Musk's henchmen are in a position to dig through a trove of data about every taxpayer in America. And if your refund is delayed, they could very well be the reason. Holy crap. Can I just, my friends, each and every one of you listening at home, please heed these words. The refund the government has that belongs to you was taken from you wrongly. That's why it's a refund. It means you gave them more than you needed to.
Yep.
So when he's saying, well, now it's going to be delayed, it's Elon's fault. No, the government is taking more of your money than they're legally allowed to do. And then every year they give it back and people act happy about it.
That is an interest-free loan that you are giving to the government.
Yeah.
It is better to hold on to that money yourself,
but it's
pay the amount that you're supposed to, hold on to that money yourself and put it into a
not easy to do. Not easy to do, man.
Fair enough.
I remember back in like 2014 or whatever, I was paying my taxes. It was 2015, actually. I was paying my 2015 taxes. And I did everything I was told to do by my accountant. And this is back when I just had a regular salary and was an employee at a company. And at the end of the year, they're like, you owe $7,000.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh, I don't know. What? That's like all of my savings. And they were like, well, you filed your forms wrong or something. And I was like, oh, bro. So for the average person, if you make a mistake and you end up owing at the end of the year, that can put you in the poorhouse.
Yep.
So this country functions by taking more of your money you need, especially to buy eggs, And at the end of the year, you cross your fingers and hope you gave the government enough, and maybe they'll be nice enough to give you some back.
You know, there's something that Wyden is hinting out here that I think is important to note. You know, he's saying that this may slow down you getting your check. And I'm already seeing this where you've got federal employees that basically are kind of on a working strike. They're slowing down their work. They're intentionally doing things that they shouldn't be doing or not doing things that they should be doing. There was some whistleblowers at the FBI recently just came out talking about how there was reprisal that was going on where they were basically denying people their clearances and things like that, or having their clearances drop. And I was talking to a field security officer who was telling me, or a facility security officer that was telling me that that's exactly what they've seen going on. Like they've never seen this in their 20 years career, and now they're seeing all of a sudden all these problems with people's clearances. I think that this is going to be their tactic against Trump. They're going to try to slow down the federal government every which way they can to make it impossible for them.
I'm just having a good time with the IRS stuff, guys. I hope, look, we've seen nothing just yet, but there's a lot of speculation that the waste, fraud, and abuse we find at the IRS is going to result in, let's just say, when they start cutting back these things, you should get more money. I'm hoping that they go into the IRS and they uncover. Well, actually, I'll put it this way: I hope they go in and they find everything's perfect, and they're being honest, and the IRS is treating everybody well. But I guarantee you, it's not. And I'm going to lay out this scenario for you guys. We talked about it when Biden and the Democrats were adding 87,000 new IRS agents.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They claimed we're only raising taxes on people who make $400,000 a year or more. What ended up happening? I called it. What's going to happen when they add those 87,000 agents is that you're going to get a bill in the mail. They started scrutinizing all transactions over $600, claiming we're only raising taxes on wealthy people, but they were scrutinizing transactions on poor people.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So here's how it works for the IRS. They want to increase their revenue and make more money. They're going to send you a letter in the mail. One day, you're going to open up your mail. It's going to say you owe $273.91. Official letter from the IRS. And you're going to say, well, I have no means of fighting that. I don't know if it's right. I don't know if it's wrong. I had a couple friends tell me last year when all this was going on, it happened to them. They complained. They were not well off. So one friend of mine ended up owing like $1,000 something. And so he was like, yo, that's an insane amount of money. Get a letter from the IRS saying you owe this money. And so he fought it, and it turned out the IRS was wrong. But what happens when they send out those bills for $25, $50, $100? Yep. And some working class Joe is like, I can't afford to hire a lawyer or dispute this. This is the issue with getting a speeding ticket, right? A lot of people get tickets every day. Maybe they weren't speeding. And they say, go tell it to a judge. Like, yo, I can't take a day off work to go to court because you're trying to take $100 from me. Yep. It's a lose-lose no matter what. This is what the IRS is doing. And I'm willing to bet that when Elon Musk's DOGE team goes in there, they're going to find that the IRS, here's what I think it'll be. Not that they're intentionally overcharging Americans and sending out all of these bills, but that their review process to determine whether or not an American owes money is so scrambled and lax. I'm willing to bet the IRS approves all monetary demands. Some low-level IRS agent says, I looked at some guy's PayPal. He had $700 in it. I think he owes us $50. And his boss goes, rubber stamp out the door. That guy better pay us or else. I bet that's what he finds.
And you also got to think about whether they're doing evil or not, the people who are asking out for the bills, the penalties. They're including penalties and interest accrued. So no matter what you have, they're going to add more money to that. If you're a day late, 30 days late, 40 days late, they're going to keep on adding and adding as much as they can.
Yo, Phil said it's an interest-free loan you're giving to the government, but when you underpay, they demand that interest back.
Absolutely.
It's,
it's incredibly unfair.
I like the stories about the samurai and the Bushido, honor and integrity.
Yeah.
The warriors that refuse to fight unfair. It's death before dishonor, all that stuff. America has become so dishonorable. I'm sorry. The functions of government, the American government.
Bureaucrats.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's completely unfair. And the idea that these are supposed to be agencies that exist for the betterment of the American people, and yet they intentionally make your life more difficult. The IRS knows how much you owe. They know exactly how much you owe, and yet you have to go and pay a third party to figure it out. Why can't they just send you why can't they just say, hey, this is how much you owe? Why can't they? Why won't they? Why is it that it's incumbent on the American people, the individuals, to go and find a third party and pay that third party to do all the paperwork when the federal government knows?
It's obvious. It's because some people don't file their income taxes properly and they overpay.
Yeah.
The fact that there are services advertising, and it's funny because we're getting close to tax season too, services saying, we'll get you the maximum refund. Right. The U.S. government knows that tons of people are eligible for more money. They overpaid. And if they make a mistake, here's what's funny. If you make a mistake and overpay, they have smiles on their faces. If you make a mistake and underpay, you're getting a fine and a penalty.
Yes. They have a literal police force of their own with fully automatic weapons, which you're not allowed to own.
Remember when the IRS ordered like millions of rounds of
ammo.
There was a literal shortage on green tip 5.56, which is what's used in your average AR-15 M16 style rifle, because the federal government ordered pallets and pallets and pallets for all of the policing agencies. And keep in mind, the FDA has a policing agency in case you're trying to sell raw milk. These agencies are not do not exist to help the American people at all.
And when Elon said we should refund $740 million from the consumer, protection, whatever, all the Democrats were like, "Oh no, now the banks are going to rip us all off." It's like these systems of governance have not been helping Americans. And the instances where they sometimes do, it's only to put on the facade that they're actually functioning for helping Americans. It's become bloat and corruption. Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.